today, my husband and law partner, Jimmy, and I are going to be talking to you about drug and alcohol related terms in parenting plans. Hey, Jimmy, have you ever had the case or a case where drugs and alcohol were an issue or issues for one or both parents?
I've had a handful of cases with that in the past, and I have a handful of cases going on right now that is an issue.
It's unfortunately pretty common.
It
so
is.
when you're negotiating parenting plans or when you're bringing that in front of the judge, what types of provisions are you asking for to protect the child or children?
Well, oftentimes, as far, let's kind of lump the drug and alcohol in together. A lot of times we'll have testing provisions included in the parenting plan. So things like...
let me stop you real quick. You say testing provisions. Do you mean random testing?
It can be anything and everything.
Okay.
A lot of times we'll include regular scheduled drug testing. And by drug testing, those can also be alcohol testing as well. And then we can also include provisions that provide for one parent, or if there's a guardian ad litem involved, that there can be random tests that have to be administered.
So what types of tests are you putting in? Are you talking hair follicle, urine tests?
It depends. Everything. It always depends on the situation. In some cases where we've had drug issues in the past, we've done things like hair follicle testing. A lot of times we'll do 5 or 10 panel with that, depending on the drugs that are being used. Oftentimes in alcohol tests, we can do PET tests. And then we can also do devices like SoberLink and Backtrack, things like that, that it's actually quite streamlined now that these devices can be linked to telephones and through an app, go to the guardian, go to the attorneys.
And even to the parties, right?
And even to the parties, yep.
Now, when you're talking about doing these urine testing and the hair follicles and things like that, who's paying for this stuff?
That's a cost that's generally incurred by the parties themselves.
Okay, let me throw this at you. What if I represent the party who does have the drug and alcohol problem? And my position is that my client has gotten their crap together. They don't need any of this anymore. And if your client wants my client to do urine testing and pay for these expensive hair follicles, if my client passes, your client has to pay for it. Have you ever done that?
I have literally a couple weeks ago, we finalized a parenting plan that there were drug testing provisions in it. And what it ultimately came out to on the cost side of it was that if the person taking the drug test failed the drug test, they were responsible for that cost. And if they passed, then the parent who requested the drug test had to reimburse them within, I believe we put 7 days.
Okay, so that's probably going to really help the parent who is having to do the testing hopefully get clean. And it also disincentivizes the parent who's asking for it to just kind of willy-nilly ask for stuff, because they could potentially have to pay for it if the person passes.
Absolutely. And a lot of these, the 10 panel hair follicle tests, they're not cheap.
Right, exactly.
And PET tests, they're not cheap.
Now, you mentioned like SoberLink and Backtrack. I know I've used those in cases before where I can have the parent blow into the device, since it's a handheld device, blow into the device before and after their parenting time to make sure that they weren't, and this does alcohol, so make sure they weren't drinking during the parenting time. Have you done either of those in any of your cases?
Absolutely. And we have also done kind of like what I was saying with random testing. And cases where we've had a guardian where that was included in a temporary order, we have given the guardian the ability to request random tests and say, here, right now you need to go ahead and blow.
Are you finding that judges really like these types of plans where you've got it set up that the child is protected by these provisions?
Absolutely. Where it's a plan that provides for significant accountability and makes sure that the child is not exposed to a lot of things that children don't need to be exposed to, judges are very, very fond of things like that, as we found.
So if you're dealing with a case right now where either the other side or you have an issue with drug or alcohol and you're trying to find a way to have parenting time with your child or to ensure that your child is safe during their parenting time, give us a call.